Good evening. We here at the Warp Zone believe that video games have received far too much attention online. Not enough has been given to good old-fashioned books. Which is why we're now starting a new series of Let's Reads. We'll begin tonight with a short story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and a tale about Sherlock Holmes, a famed hero. The story is called A Scandal in Bohemia. Let's begin.
Hey guys, Davis here,
and Fish.
and we're the Warp Zone, yeah!
Yeah.
Doing some Let's Reads, alright.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited. Some Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, dude, I love Sherlock Holmes.
He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that he's actually based off of
Sherlock
Batman?
Holmes.
Yeah.
Is always
Yeah.
the
They wanted to make like a
I've
less
seldom heard him mention
human,
her under any
more
name.
unrealistic version of Batman, so
In
they
his
made this
eyes,
like
she
smart British
eclipses
guy.
and
It's crazy.
predominates the whole of her sex.
Let's listen.
It was not that he felt any
That
emotion
book is
akin to
tiny.
love for Irene Adler. All emotions, and that one particularly,
Oh.
were abhorrent.
Oh, Irene.
was
She's
cold,
my favorite.
precise,
Yeah.
but admirably balanced mind.
No one really names
was, I take
girls
it,
Irene
the
anymore.
most
It's kind of like a
perfect
lost
reasoning and
name, I feel
observing
like.
machine
Yeah.
that the
You
world
know?
has ever seen.
It's like
There's a
But
lot
as a
of
lover,
like Sarahs
He
and
would have placed himself in a
Jessicas,
false
and
position.
Ashley's
He never
and
spoke with the
Veronica's,
soft
but not
Yeah.
a lot of
Save
Irene's.
with a guy,
Caitlyn's.
They were admirable things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you don't
Yeah.
get that.
Excellent
It's a
for
long.
drawing the veil
And Sherlock,
from
I don't
men's
know a
motives and
single
actions.
like actual person named
But for the
Sherlock.
trained
Yeah.
reasoner to admit such intrusions,
Probably because like
so
he was such a
delicate and
badass
finely
that like
adjusted
after he was Sherlock,
They like
he was a
retired,
distracting
like in
factor.
sports, like they retired
Might come
Jordan's
down
jersey.
on all
yeah,
his
they must have
scandals.
just retired Sherlock as a name.
But like,
Which,
yo, rest of
in a
Britain,
sensitive instrument,
no more Sherlocks.
or a crack in one of his own high-power lenses
Crack.
would not be more disturbing
That's a
than
drug.
a strong emotion in a nature such as his. And yet,
Look at this nerd.
there was but one woman to him.
He
that
probably-
He kind of.
Was the
He's
late
kind of
Irene
like
Adler.
really dapper looking
Dubious
right now.
and
Like I've
questionable.
never seen Ryan look this good. She should wear
I'd seen
glasses
little
more
of Holmes
often.
lately.
yeah,
My marriage, had
yeah.
drifted us away from
Actually,
each
I
other,
think the
my own
glasses are
complete
definitely doing
happiness,
most of the work.
and the home-centered interests.
Because
were
like
to
if you
rise
take
up
those
around the
off,
man who
you're just
first
like,
finds
oh,
himself master
he's a
It's
dweeb.
Ryan.
Yeah.
sufficient to absorb all my
Boring old
But
Ryan.
Holmes, who loathed every form of society, with
Those
his whole
polka dots are
Bohemian
doing
soul,
it for me too.
remained
Yeah.
in our lodgings.
Wait,
Street.
those are like
Buried among his
hexagons.
old
No,
books and
what's a
alternating
5?
from week to week.
Pentagon.
Penta-
Oh,
Oh my god.
drowsiness
they're
of
not
the
even
drug
polka
and the
dots.
fierce
They're
energy
polka
of his own being.
pentadots.
Pentapose.
He was still, as
Pentadots.
ever,
Yeah.
deeply attracted to the study of crime, and occupied his immense faculties and extraordinary powers of observation in following out those clues and
See
clearing up those
extraordinary
mysteries
powers. Like
which had been
Yeah, but like,
abandoned
is
sleepless
observation
and
really a
difficult
power? Like
From
flight.
time to time,
Like
I
that's a
heard some
power.
vague
Like
accounts of
being
his
able to
doings,
fly,
of his
super
summons to
strength.
Odessa,
Uh-huh.
in the
I
case
don't
of the
know,
Trepak
being able
murder,
to like
of his clearing up
telepathically
the
get women to
singular
take their
tragedy of
clothes
the
off. Like
Atkinson
those are
brothers
powers.
at
But just
Tring Common
observing, like
and
I'm
finally,
observing.
of the mission which he had accomplished
Boom, that's
so
not really a
greatly
But
power.
yeah,
and
yeah.
successfully
Like
for the reigning
I
family of
deduct that that's a Lego coffee mug next to him, and that he
Beyond these
must have
signs
liked the Lego
of his
movie.
activity,
Boom,
however,
Sherlock. Boop,
which I
boop, boop,
merely
boop.
shared with all
But
the
like not
readers of
enough
the
to
daily
really buy a
press.
lot of
I knew very
Legos to
little
put
of
on
it.
Right,
it.
so he's probably poor. I mean, he works for the Warp
One night,
Zone, so he's probably
It was the
poor.
20th of
Definitely.
March, 1888. I was returning from a
1888.
journey to a paper.
But you know, back to
Where I
your
had now
Batman,
returned to civil
you know,
rights.
comparison.
Yeah.
Like
When my
he
way
doesn't
led
really
me to
have
get through Baker
superpowers either. So I
As
think
passed
that's
the
like
well-remembered
another.
door, which must always be
Right,
Yeah.
but then,
associated in
but I
my
wouldn't really
mind
call
with
it
my
like a.
room
I wouldn't call
and
it a
with the
power.
dark
Then I would just
incidents
call it like
of
a
study in scarlet.
sense. I don't know, like a thing.
I was
that you
seized with a
have.
keen
Yeah.
desire to see Holmes again.
Right. But
and to
it's,
know
it's
how
I'm
he
saying
was
that's how
employing
they're
his
like more
extraordinary
alike.
powers.
They're
His
good
rooms were brilliantly lit.
deducers.
Yeah.
Even as I looked up, I saw his tall,
Deducer
spare
and
figure pass twice
seducer.
in a dark silhouette against the blind.
Nailed it.
He was pacing the room
What's
swiftly.
that? I don't know. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Did he
head
start?
sunk
I
upon
think
This
he
his
already
book
started.
story,
his
like the
hands clasped
graphics are
behind
good, but I don't know about.
That's
To
a
me,
pretty.
who
That's a
knew
pretty
his every
solid
mood and
looking
habit,
book cover
his
right
attitude
there.
and manner told their own
I'm
story.
pretty sure his hands
He
are
was at
bigger
work again.
than the entire
He had
book.
risen out of his
Yeah.
drug
Well, and they
created
always say
dream
that vertical
was
stripes,
hot upon the
like you
scent
got to
of
be
some
careful
new
with
product.
those. But I think that this book,
I rang the
really,
bell
the
and was
cover
shown
really
up to the
pulls it
chamber,
off.
which had formerly
It's a
been
bold
part of my own.
move.
Yeah.
His manner was not effusive. It seldom was. But he was glad, I think, to see me. With hardly a word spoken, but with a kindly eye, he waved
Wait.
me to an
Who?
armchair,
He keeps saying
Drew
like
across his
me
cigars,
and I.
and
Like
indicated a spirit
who-
case and a gassage.
who is talking? Is
Then he
is
stood
it
before the
is
fire
it
and looked
Ryan?
me
As
over
if he
in
like
a
wrote the
single,
words?
introspective fashion.
No, dude, it's.
Wedlock
Have you ever read a
suits you,
book?
he remarked. I think, Watson,
So
that you
I
have put
play a lot
on
of
7.5
video games.
pounds since I saw you.
imagine
7,
Imagine
I answered.
this. Well, it's like
Indeed.
a diary, so it's like
I should have thought a little more.
Sherlock
just a trifle
Holmes.
more, I fancy, Watson.
it's like he's
And
writing
in practice
this
again, I observe.
about.
Wait, what's
you
his
did not
other
tell
voice
me you
then?
intended to go into harness. Then how did you know?
What the?
I see it. I
He's
deduce
just-
it. How do I know that you have been getting yourself very wet
Wait,
lately?
he's
And that you
talking
have
about
most
deducing in
clumsy
this
and
different
careless servant
voice.
girl.
Yeah,
My
see,
dear Holmes.
see,
said I.
now he's a different character.
This is too much.
And it helps distinguish
You would
that
certainly
by
have been
putting
burned
on
in
different
no,
words.
centuries ago.
I
It
can't
is
follow
true that I had
that.
a county
I
walk
think
on
it's supposed
Thursday.
to make it easier to follow.
A country
When he
walk.
talks one way,
I
you
came
know
home
that
in
he's
a
one
dreadful
character,
mess.
and when he talks
But as
another
I
way,
have
he's a
changed
different
my clothes,
character.
I can't imagine how you would deduce it.
Oh,
As
so
to
it's
Mary
like he's
Jane,
multiple
she's
voice
incorrigible.
actors.
Well, like
And my
think
wife
about
has
when
given
you
her
watch like a
notice.
movie.
But there,
It's
again,
not all-
I fail to see how you work.
It's
it out.
not all the same person. It's not like Ian McKellen is
He chuckled to
everybody.
himself and rubbed his long.
You know?
He could be, though.
He's like some people,
It's
and then
simplicity
Patrick
itself,
Stewart are other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
My eyes tell me on the inside
but I mean, it
of your
is
left
just
shoe,
him.
but he's
just where
Dumbledore
the
and
firelight strikes
Gandalf.
it. The
Yeah?
leather is scored by 6 most parallel cuts. Obviously, they have been caused by someone who has very carelessly scraped around the edges of the sole in order to remove crusted mud from it.
Ew.
Hence, you see, my
I'm not a
double
big fan of the
deduction
word crusted.
that you have
Double
been
deduction.
out
See,
in vile
double
weather,
deduction.
and that
That's
you had
a
a particularly
superpower.
malignant
Yeah,
boot-splitting
wow.
specimen
He
of
put,
the
like,
London slavey.
2 pieces
As
of
to your
deduction
practice, if a
together
gentleman walks
and
into
added
my
them
room smelling of iodoform
into one ultra deduction.
with a black mark
it's
of
like-
nitrate
it's like
of
super
silver
speed,
upon
'cause,
his
like, we
right
can all
forefinger
run,
and a bulge
But then
on
like
the
super
right
speed's like run really
side of his
fast.
top hat.
Yeah,
Like we
so
can all
you're like-
deduce.
where he has secreted his
But
stethoscope.
double deduction?
I
Right.
must be dull indeed
What,
if I
did you
do
get
not
bitten by,
pronounce
like
him to
a-
be an
like a
active member of
radioactive-
the medical profession.
Animal
I could
that
not help but
deduces?
laughing.
Like a monkey?
At the ease at which he explains
Like a
the
monkey
process
with
of
like a
it.
top
A
hat?
top hat, yeah.
And it was
I hear you
radioactive.
give
right?
your reasons, I remarked. The thing always appears to me to be so ridiculously simple that I could easily do it myself. Though at each successive instance of your reasoning,
That's how I
am
feel,
baffled until you
like,
explain your process.
Whenever like
And yet
my
I believe
girlfriend
that
makes
my
a
eyes
meal.
are-
Oh, sorry, I
as good
got
as
lost in his
Quite
voice.
so.
Oh, he was just talking
answered, lighting a
about,
cigarette.
you know, Watson's
And
like
throwing himself down
every
into an
time you
armchair.
like deduce,
You
he
see,
makes it seem so
but you do
simple
not
that like
observe.
I could have figured it
The
out.
distinction is clear.
And
For
I was just
example,
pointing out like when my
you have
girlfriend makes
frequently
like a
seen the steps
casserole,
which lead up to the hole in
like
this
at the,
room.
you know, you're like, oh shit, like I could have
Frequently.
made that. It's just like
Oh,
pasta and
Well,
like some
some
meat
hundreds
It's
and
of
just
cheese.
like the ingredients.
Then how
Yeah.
many
But
are
it's
there?
like what makes
How many?
Sherlock a
don't know.
superhero
Quite
is it
so.
like he
You have
takes
not
all
observed.
those ingredients
yet
and
you
makes
have not-
something
and yet you
delicious
have
out of
seen.
it.
Yeah.
That everyone
That
can
is just
enjoy.
my point.
Yeah,
Now,
but
I
instead
know
of
that
food,
there are
it's
17
like
steps
crime.
because I have both seen and observed. By the way, since you are interested in these little
Wait,
problems,
seen and observed.
and since you are good
That's
enough to
redundant,
chronicle one or
idiot.
two of my trifling experiences, you may
Trifle.
be interested in
More
it.
like Sir Arthur Conan,
He
stupid.
drew over a sheet of
Yeah.
thick
Burn.
pink tinted note paper.
Paper,
Pictured in line.
Learn how to read, Ryan.
It came by last post, said he.
Idiot.
Read it aloud.
Ryan.
The note was undated and without either signature or address.
That's awkward. How do you
There
return
will be
it?
call upon you tonight at 7:45. It
Who?
said. A gentleman who desires to
Where
consult
is
you upon a
Ryan?
manner of the most
Like
deepest moment.
physically or like existentially?
Your recent services to one of
Both.
the royal houses of Europe
Well,
have shown
physically,
that you are one
he's
who may
clearly
safely be trusted with matters which are of an
is that outside or
importance
inside of like
which
a,
can
a
hardly be
wooden
exaggerated.
cabin?
This
Existentially,
account
who
of you
knows, man?
we have from
That
all
wooden
quarters
cabin
received.
has really good lighting.
Be in your chamber,
Yeah.
then at that hour,
He
and do
stuttered
not
again.
take it amiss if your visitor is wearing a mask.
What a idiot!
This is indeed a mystery, I remarked. What do you imagine it means? I have no data yet.
Ooh,
It's a
Ooh.
capital mistake to theorize before one has data.
so Gandalf
Insensibly,
is a
one
character.
begins to twist facts to suit
I
theories
think I missed that
instead
part.
of theories to suit facts. But the note itself? What do you deduce from it? I carefully examined the writing and the paper upon
I
which
like
it was written.
reading with you.
Well,
The man who wrote it was
we're not really
presumably
reading,
well-to-do,
but we're just
I
like
remarked,
watching a guy read.
endeavoring to imitate my
I
companion's
thought
process.
this was reading.
No,
Such paper could not be bought under half a crown a packet. It is
what he's
peculiarly
doing
strong and
is
stiff.
reading. We're just
So what are
Peculiar.
what are we doing?
That is
then?
the very word, said Holmes.
we're observing.
It is not an English paper at
we're
all.
deducing.
Hold it
like
up to the light.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
I did so.
So
So
maybe
we're
it's
like
a
Sherlock.
large
yeah, it's like
E
the I in the story is
small
really
G.
we.
A P and a
I like
large
that.
G, with a small T woven into the texture of the paper.
Why is he spelling letters?
What do you
It's
make of
part
that?
of the story.
asked Holmes.
God, pay attention.
The name of this maker, no doubt, or his monogram, rather. Not at all. The G with the small T stands for Gesellschaft,
What?
which is the German for company. It is a customary contraction like our co.p, of course.
See, I
stands
like that.
for papier.
The story, it's like exciting,
Now for the
but it's
EG
also
dot.
informational. Like
glance
Spider-Man,
at your
where JJ's
Continental
like,
Gazetteer.
slander spoken, Prince
took down
liable. Or libel. You're
a
like,
very heavy
whoa,
brown volume
this
from the
movie
shelf.
was like awesome.
Iglo,
But now I'm like, I
Iglonitz.
learned something.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Agria.
That's crazy, man.
It is a German-speaking country
Also,
in
like
Bohemia,
when he,
not far from
when
Carlsbad.
Uncle Ben said, "With great
Remarkable
power comes great
as being the scene
responsibility," like
of
I
the death
learned a huge lesson that
Wolfsy.
day.
Yeah. Don't get
and for
shot.
its numerous glass factories and
Yeah.
paper mills. Haha, my boy. What do you make of that? His eyes sparkled. He sent up a great blue
His
triumphant
eyes
cloud from his
sparkled.
cigarette.
Like,
Like he's
was
in
made in
Twilight.
Bohemia.
like he's a stupid
Precisely.
vampire.
He's a vampire.
man
that
who wrote it,
sparkles in the
And
sunlight.
the man who wrote the note is a
Probably gets a
German.
lot of, women.
Do
though.
you note? But do you note?
They went crazy.
the
for
Yeah,
it.
but they love
construction of the
sparkles.
sentence. This account of you we have from all quarters received. A Frenchman or Russian could not have written that. It is the German who is so uncourteous to his verbs.
Wow.
It only remains,
Wow.
therefore, to discover.
I feel
what
like that
is
was a
wanted by
sick
this
burn.
German
Yeah,
who
they
writes
really
upon
make the
Bohemian
German
paper
sound like a douche.
refers-
Well, like nowadays
prefers
we don't
wearing a
take
mask to show
like
his
our
face.
grammar as seriously. So
And here it comes.
if somebody came up and was like,
If I'm not
"Yo, your
mistaken,
grammar
it
is
was Volvo
sloppy,"
Evans.
I would be like,
Yeah,
It's all-
"You're
I live in
you're-
California.
You're ugly." Burn.
As he spoke,
But back
and that
then,
would be
there was
more
the
of a
sharp
burn. Like people
sound
are
of
way
horses'
more like
hooves.
superficial today. Like
grating
everyone
wheels
in like
against the
England back
curb,
then was ugly,
followed by a
but,
sharp
like,
pull at the bell.
but they could
Holmes
speak
whistled.
well.
Yeah.
and like that was
Yeah, by the
important.
sounds
But
of
now you
Yes, he
are
continued.
supposed to look good,
glancing
and
out
no
the
one
window.
gives a crap
A
how
nice
you
little brogan
talk.
and
So
a
yeah.
pair of
Back in the day, though, that was like
150
it was like fighting words.
guineas
Like I
a
believe
piece.
you can probably check it on
There's money in that case,
Wikipedia,
Watson.
but the War
If there's
1812,
anything else,
that was like because
think I'd better
like
go,
somebody was
Holmes.
like, "Yo,
not a bit.
I don't like
doctor.
the way you
Stay where you
conjugate
are.
your verbs."
I am lost without my
And the other
Boswell.
person's like, "Well,
And this
I don't like the
promises
way
to
that
be
you're alive.
interesting.
So
It would be a
I'm gonna
pity
get
to
my
miss it.
battleships,
But your
and
client,
you get your
never
Sky
mind him.
Falcons, and we're gonna have a battle."
I may want your help.
So that's
And
how the
so
War
many
of
he.
1812 happened.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Huh.
Sit down in that armchair, doctor,
It sounds important. Here
and
he
give us your
comes.
best attention. A slow and heavy step, which had been heard upon the stairs and in the passage, paused immediately outside the door.
Oh my god, I can like visualize
Then
this
there was
scene.
a loud and
This is really
authoritative tap.
tense.
"Come in," said Holmes.
No,
A man
don't let him
entered
in.
who could hardly have been
No.
less than 6 feet 6
No.
inches in height.
Less
No,
than
with
six
the
feet.
chest and limbs
Wait.
of a Hercules. His dress was rich.
that's
with a richness
Hercules.
which
Whoa,
would,
this
in
guy's
England,
ripped.
He's
be looked
German
upon
now,
as
so
akin
like
to bad taste.
everyone's kind of like that.
Heavy bands of astrakhan were slashed across the shell.
I
the
couldn't even
sleeves
spell
and front
astrakhan.
seam of his double-breasted
Actually,
coat,
ASTRO
while the
can.
deep blue
Got it.
cloak
Oh, that was
Which
pretty
was
good.
Looks like
thrown
an
over his
Astro
shoulders.
could spell it.
with flame-colored silk and secured at
Yeah.
the neck with a brooch which consisted of a single flaming
You know,
barrel,
these words sound hard to say.
Boots which
Maybe we
extended
should
halfway up his
give Ryan
calves,
such a hard time.
and which were trimmed at the tops
Yeah,
with
but like
rich brown
he
fur,
put the glasses on.
completed
and
with
when
the
you do
impression
that,
of barbaric opulence,
It's like he's saying, "Hey,
which
I'm
was
gonna read
suggested
all
by
of
his
these
whole appearance.
words."
yeah, there's a level
without
of,
stuttering.
He carried
Like,
a broad-brimmed hat
he
in his
like
hand,
threw the
while he
a
wore
glove
glasses
at us,
upon
the
his
gauntlet,
face.
or
Yeah,
as
the
you-
extending
gauntlet
down
was
past the
thrown.
cheekbones.
You're right. Yeah, there's like a
black
level of
viscid mass,
expectation there, and when he
which he had
doesn't meet it,
apparently
you know,
Yeah,
we're disappointed.
adjusted at that very moment. For his hand was still raised to it as he entered. From the lower part of his face, he
Dude,
appeared
is
to be
that
a man
Sir
of strong
Arthur
character.
Conan Doyle on
with a
the
thick
backside
hang
of that book
and
there?
a strong,
Look at that rad
straight
mustache.
Chin suggestive of resolution.
He just
pushed
said he
to
could
the
tell
length
from his
of
lower
obstinacy.
face that he was like a strong person, like he was like a strong
had my notes.
character.
Yeah, you have a
He
strong
asked with a
jaw.
deep,
But that
harsh
doesn't
voice
mean
and a
I
strongly
could be
marked
like a
German
weak
accent.
person. I like
I
since
told you
when
that I would call.
when
He looked from one to the other
can you
of us,
tell
is
like
uncertain
characteristics
which to
of a
address.
person
Pray,
based on
take
their
a seat,
looks? I mean, like
said Holmes.
literally, they
This is
say
my
don't
friend
judge a
and
book by
colleague,
its
Dr.
cover.
Watson,
But inside
who
of
is
this
occasionally
book,
good enough to
they're
help me in my
judging
cases.
metaphorically
Whom
or
have I the
whatever
honor
a
to
book
address?
by his face cover.
You may address
Yeah.
me as the Count von
This is a good
Kram, a
point.
Bohemian nobleman. I understand
But, like-
that this gentleman, your friend, is
wow,
a man of
they have a
honor
new
and
voice.
discretion, whom I may trust with a manner.
This is
This
how
matter
all
of the most
all
extreme
Germans
importance.
sound to me.
Yeah.
If not, I
He's
should
like,
much
this is his best, most
prefer to
realistic
communicate
accent, I
with,
think.
with
Yeah.
you alone. I rose to go.
I also
but
find
Holmes
it really
caught me by the
funny
waist
that he's like
pushed
this
me back into my chair.
6'6" Hercules guy with this like
It is both
high-pitched
or none.
German accent.
I bet everyone in his kingdom.
You may
laughs
say
at
before
it.
this gentleman anything
Well,
which you
I
may
don't know.
say to
It's
me.
back in the day, so like if you laughed
shrugged his broad
at the king
shoulders.
or the count or whatever the hell
Then I
this
must
guy is,
begin,
you probably just
said
get
he.
killed.
By
but when
binding you both
behind
to
his back, they're
absolute
probably
secrecy
like,
for 2 years. At the end of that
and it was
time,
like
the
probably
matter
something
will
no
be
one
of no
talked about for a
importance.
while, and then one
At
person's
the
like,
present, it is not too
maybe he
much
was like
to
drunk.
say
He's like, yo,
that it is of weight.
what's up with his voice? And then everyone in the entire kingdom
that
was
it-
like,
it is of such
it's
weight.
not just me.
It may have an
It's
influence
crazy.
upon European history.
And then they all bonded
promise,
over that.
said
Yeah,
And I. You will excuse this mask.
it's a really
continued
good
our
way to
strange
bring a
visitor.
country together.
The august person who employs
Shared
me wishes
experiences.
his agent to be unbeknown to you. And I may confess at once
I'm really
that the title
digging
by which I
the voice,
have just
though.
called myself is not
I
exactly
feel like
my
he's
own.
perfecting it too.
Yeah.
I am aware of it,
He's getting more into it,
said
for
Holmes
sure.
dryly. The circumstances are of great delicacy,
See, what's
and
impressive
every
is
precaution
that
has to
you
be
know
taken to quench what might grow.
when he's reading the
to
book,
be an
but he's not
immense
like an
scandal
actor.
and
This isn't
seriously
a movie or a
compromise
play.
one
He
of the
hasn't
reigning
had like
families of Europe.
time to really
To speak
study the
plainly,
character or dissect them
It's a matter
or do any kind of
implicates the
research.
great house
He's
of
just like
Ormstein,
right now
hereditary
in the
kings of
moment,
Bohemia.
like
Yeah.
you know, he's
I'm also
carpe
aware of
Right.
that,
the
murmured Holmes,
diem, so
Yeah.
to
settling
speak.
himself
The
down.
Dame.
He's
in
just
his
like,
armchair and
okay, I'm
closing
this
his
guy,
eyes.
and each new thing I
visited
read
a glance
as
with some
him,
apparent
I become
surprise at
him
the
more.
languid
And
lounging figure of
It's
a man
like-
who had
it's
no
like
doubt
we're
dictated
reading
to
it
him
with him.
as the most incisive reasoner
You
and
know?
most energetic
well, it's more
agent
like
in Europe.
we're reading him,
Holmes slowly
we're-
reopened his eyes
reading
and
the
looked
book.
impatiently at his gigantic client.
You know,
If your Majesty
Wait, what? Say that
would
again?
condescend to state your
like
case,
while
he
he's
remarked.
reading the book,
We're
we're reading
reading
him
him.
I
reading
should
the
be
book.
better
Yeah,
able to advise.
yeah.
The man sprung from his chair and paced up and down the room in uncontrollable agitation. Then, with a gesture of desperation, he tore the mask from his face and hurled it upon the ground.
Oh boy.
"You're right," he cried. "I am the king. Why should I attempt to conceal it?" "Why, indeed," murmured Holmes. "Your Majesty has not spoken before." And I was
It's
aware
just-
that I was
it's cool
addressing
because like
Wilhelm
nowadays,
Gottschalk
if you
Sigismund
tried to like
von
hide
Ormstein,
your,
Grand Duke of
if you just like
Castle
wore a
Holstein,
mask out and
the
around,
hereditary king of Bohemia.
that's like weird. Like
But
that's
you
just a
understand,
weird thing to
said our
do.
strange visitor,
Yeah, it's really
sitting down once
shady.
more and passing his hand over
I would
his
think you were a villain.
high white
Yeah.
forehead.
But here
You
he just is
understand
like,
that I am not
okay,
accustomed to doing such business in my own person. Yet the matter was so delicate that I could not confide
Although,
it into an
this
agent
German guy
without
probably
putting
is
myself
the
in
villain.
his power. I have
This
become
is-
incognito from Prague.
this is like
for the
olden
purpose of
times.
consulting you.
So like, this
Then
is remember
pray
this is
consult,
before World
said
War II.
Holmes, shutting his eyes once more. The facts are briefly these.
I thought it was like
Some
the
5
early
years
movie
ago,
introduction of
during
the
a
villain,
lengthy,
but
a
they make
lengthy
you
visit
like
to Warsaw,
sympathetic
I made
towards
the
him.
acquaintance
Yeah,
of
no.
the
And then by
well-known
the end,
adventuress
you're
Irene
gonna see
Adler.
what his true motives
The
were.
name is no
Yeah,
doubt familiar
back
to
in
you.
the day, back in this time,
Kindly
you know,
look her up in
Germans
my
just
index
were
doc,
like tall,
murmured Holmes,
lederhosen wearing,
without opening his eyes.
schnoodle eating, like
For many years, he had adopted a system of docketing all
huggers,
paragraphs
basically. Like,
concerning
you're like,
men
oh
and
hey,
things,
and they're like, oh,
so that it was difficult to name a subject or a person on which he could not at once furnish
you
information.
gotta examine the tropes.
In this
from,
case,
like,
I found her
when it was
biography
written.
sandwiched
It's all about
It's a good-
that
context.
of a
Yeah.
Hebrew rabbi
Yeah,
and that
you're
of a
right.
staff commander who had written a monograph upon deep-sea fishes. "Let me see," said Holmes.
Deep sea
Born
fishes.
in New Jersey in the year 1858.
That's a sex joke, right?
Contralto. La Scala. Prima donna Imperial Opera of Warsaw. Yes.
Yes.
Retired from the operatic stage. Ha! Living in London, quite so. Your
He's
Majesty,
into it
as I
right now.
understand, becoming entrangled with the young person,
Hey, he's
wrote her
like
some
feeling
compromising
the book
letters
right
and is now
It's like
desirous
reading
of
him.
getting those letters back. Precisely so, but how? Was there a secret marriage? None. No legal papers or
I
certificates?
lost it.
None. Then I failed to follow Your
Really-
Majesty.
really took me out
If
of
this
the
young
scene right there with
person
that
should produce
stumble.
her letters for blackmailing or other purposes, how is she to prove her authenticity?
You know,
There is the
everybody
writing.
blackmails.
Pooh-poo.
How come
Forgery.
nobody whitemails anymore?
My private notepaper, stolen.
Well, it's
My own seal,
not really
imitated.
appropriate.
My photograph,
Yeah.
bought. We were both in the
these
photograph.
days.
Oh dear, that is very bad. Your Majesty has indeed committed an indiscretion. I was mad, insane. You have compromised yourself seriously. I was crown prince then. I was young.
Oh.
I am but 30 now.
Oh.
It must be recovered. We
Oh.
have tried and failed. Your Majesty must pay. It must be bought.
Yes.
She will not sell. Stolen, then. 5 attempts have been made. Twice burglars in my pay ransacked her house. Once we were diverted her luggage when she traveled. Twice she has been waylaid. There has been no result. No sign of it.
She
Absolutely
was
not.
laid. Get
Holmes
it?
laughed.
Waylaid.
was quite a bit of a
Waylaid.
He said.
I don't know why he's so worried. I feel
That's
like
a very
whenever I
serious one
watch,
to me, returned the king.
you like
reproachfully.
watch like Game of Thrones
Very
or anything
indeed.
old,
And
like
what does she
royalty,
propose to do with
they
the
just like
photograph?
had sex with everything.
Really?
Yeah,
There's
they
like,
could-
hookers weren't even weird.
I'm about to
Yeah.
be married. So
and
I've
here,
heard.
a woman who, as I take it,
To Clotilde
is not a
Lothman of
hooker.
von Saxe-Meningen, second daughter of the King of
I don't know,
Scandinavia.
I think he's just like,
You may know
think
the
he's
strict principles of a
overreacting.
family.
Yeah, he's
She
making
is
a
herself
mountain
the
out of
very
a
soul of
molehill.
delicacy.
as they say.
A shadow of a doubt as to my conduct would bring the matter to an end.
Yeah.
And Irene Adler threatens to send them the photograph, and she will do it. I know she will do it. You do not
I
know
love
her,
how like
but she has
they're so worked
has a
up
soul
over
of
a
steel.
photograph.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
has
like
the face of a
today,
very
like
beautiful woman.
photographs are everywhere. Like
and the
you know,
mind
with
of the most
phones and social
resolute of
media,
men.
like you
Brazzers
take a
said I should
photograph,
marry
people are
another
gonna
woman.
see it, man.
yeah,
there are
but
no
like,
lengths to which she would not
why
go.
doesn't he just say that
None.
it was photoshopped?
You're sure that she has not
He's the
sent it yet?
he's like the
I am
king.
sure.
Yeah,
just be like,
people
nah,
just
dude,
believe him.
it wasn't
Nah,
me.
It's not me.
Shaggy
Because
defense.
she has said she
Yeah.
would send it on the day when the
The-
betrothal was publicly proclaimed.
The lighting
That
is
will be
totally
next
off.
Monday.
I'm not really there.
You're like, yeah,
Oh,
that's.
then we have 3
like,
days
look,
yet.
there's clear
said Holmes with a
stitching.
yawn.
That's
That
a
is very
filter.
fortunate.
It's the Hudson
Because
filter.
I have 1 or 2 matters
You know?
of importance
Yeah.
to look into just at present. Your Majesty
See the
will,
blue
of
tint
course,
to
stay
it.
in
It's the
London for
Hudson
present.
filter.
Certainly.
I
You
mean,
will
the,
find me at the Langham under the name
the
Count
angle
von Kram.
is
Then I will
looks
drop you a line and
accurate.
let you
flattering,
know how
but
it
it's not
progresses.
me.
Pray do so. I shall be all anxiety. Then as to money, you have carte blanche.
They
Absolutely.
caught Blanche.
The
I tell you
Branch?
that I would
One of the
give one
Golden
of the
Girls?
provinces of my kingdom
This is
to
a
have
weird
that photograph.
crossover.
Yeah.
And for present expenses, the king took a heavy camosis leather bag from under his cloak and laid it on the table. There are
Oh.
300 pounds in gold and 700 in notes, he
Dude,
said.
he means money.
Holmes scribbled a
300,000
receipt
pounds
upon
in
the
gold.
sheet of his notebook and
Wait,
handed it to him.
does he mean like
No, I
like
can't. I was thinking of,
300,000
Mademoiselle's address?
like
pounds?
LBS's.
Yeah.
Is
No,
Brierley Lodge,
because-
Serpentine
Or is
Avenue,
it
He
like,
just, like,
like British
Holmes
pounds?
took note of it,
It's probably the other
other
one
question?
because like
said he.
I'm not. I mean, he's
What was the
6'6"
photograph in
and
the
built like
cabinet?
Hercules. Well, I mean, if he was literally Hercules, he could
Yeah,
be
he could
holding
handle it.
like 3,000 pounds of
Yeah,
gold. But
300,000.
Was the photograph
yeah,
a
easily.
cabinet?
It was 300,000 pounds.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no,
Then good night, Your
No.
Majesty.
and
I
not
trust
even
that we
weight wise.
shall soon
Well, you
have some
can't
good
you
news for
can't
you.
fit that under
And good night, Watson, he added.
under
as
your
the
like
wheels of the
because he
royal
had it like
brougham
under his cloak or whatever.
rolled down the street.
Yeah.
It would be like
If you will be good
He'd be like
enough
a
to
fat
call
suit.
tomorrow afternoon,
He'd be
at
like
3
Jiggle
o'clock,
when he
I
walks.
with
should
money.
like to chat this little matter over with you.
Yeah. Wait, so this means Sherlock is accepting money for this? Like a lot of money for this?
dude, homeboy's got to eat.
Dude, but it should just be for justice. Like,
First of all,
Part 2.
I'm pretty sure Sherlock Holmes is
At 3 o'clock
notoriously
precisely,
a
I was
drug
at Baker
addict,
Street.
and
But
I
Holmes
think
did not yet return.
so that's
The
like
landlady informed
if
me
movies
that
have
he had
taught
left
me
his house
downfall.
anything,
after 8
it's
o'clock
that
in the
drugs are expensive.
morning. I sat down beside the fire,
but
however.
I just feel
with
like
the
it
intention
makes
of
him less of a
awaiting
superhero that he doesn't.
However
I
long
thought
it
but
we
might
he's
already.
taking money,
Oh
like-
no, he has double deduction. You're right. Yeah, no.
I was already.
I was gonna be like,
deeply
I thought we already
interested in
said
his
he
inquiry,
wasn't a superhero,
for
but I'm like,
though
no,
it was
double
surrounded
deduction.
by none
Yeah.
of the
That
great
edges him into it.
So,
strange
like,
features which were associated with
I
the
don't know.
true
It
crimes
seems
which I
wrong
had
that he's
elsewhere
taking
recorded.
somebody's money.
Still, the
But he's
nature
not.
of-
He's not
of
like
the
a
case and the
superhero
exalted
in the
station
sense that he
of his client.
like this is like kind of his
Gave it a
job.
character
Like,
of its
it's
own.
It's like a thing he does.
Indeed, apart from
Oh.
the nature of the investigation.
So, like,
which
He's
my
like a
friend
noir.
had
He's like a
on hand, there was
noir
something in his
detective.
masterly
okay.
grasp of the
He's got like a
situation,
cool.
his keen,
He's
incisive
got like a
reasoning,
little office that has
which
like
made it a pleasure to
Sherlock
me
on it on the
to study his
outside.
system.
He's got
Uh-huh.
like an ashtray
and to
with
follow
like
the
a
quick
freshly
Yeah.
methods
like
by which
finished
he
off
made his
cigarettes.
the most inextricable
I mean,
Yeah,
he like
cigarette.
does the thing where he
So
narrates.
accustomed was
He's
I to his
basically
invariable success.
he's basically like
the very
a noir,
possibility
like a
of
British
his
noir
failing had
detective.
ceased to enter into my head. It was close upon 4 before the door opened, and a drunken-looking groom, ill-kempt and
A
side-whiskered,
groom.
with an inflamed face and disreputable clothes, walked into my room.
What is
Accustomed
this
as I was,
groom
clothes
walked
mean,
into
like-
his
Howells
room?
in the use of his disguises.
Nice
I had to
rhyme.
look 3 times before I was
That's
certain
dude. That's
that
why
it was
this
indeed
guy
he.
is like famous.
With a nod, he vanished into
Just
the
slips
bedroom.
that in, just
Whence
real
he emerged
easy.
in
Because
5
you don't even in
minutes,
books you don't even
seated
have to
and
rhyme
respectable.
like
Yeah,
in music.
he's going above and
Putting his
beyond.
hands
He's
into
like,
his
watch
pockets,
me.
He stretched
I'm
out his
gonna-
legs in front of the
I'm
fire
gonna
and
write a
laughed
book
heartily
and then
for
also
some
rhyme.
minutes. Well, really, he cried, and then he choked and
Oh,
laughed
he
again
cried.
until he was obliged
And
to
he
lie
choked.
back, limp and helpless. in the
What a
chair.
baby.
What is it? It's quite too funny. I'm sure you could never guess how I employed my morning, or what I ended by doing. I can imagine. I suppose that you have been watching the habits and perhaps the house of Miss Irene Adler.
Whoa, that's really creepy.
Quite so. But the sequel was rather unusual. I will tell you, however.
Wait.
I left the house a little after 8 this morning,
Oh, he's in
in the
detective
character of a
mode now.
groom out of work. There is a wonderful
Sherlock
sympathy
is the groom
and
in
Freemasonry
disguise.
among horsey men.
Yeah.
Be one of them,
Okay.
and you will know
It's like Halloween.
all there is to know.
He's not really him.
I soon found
He's like a
Bryony
sexy
Lodge.
groom.
It is
That's
a
why he's in
Jules
disreputable
villa
clothes.
with a garden at the back, but built out in front, right up to the road.
Ooh.
2 stories. Chubb locked to the door. Large sitting room on the side, well furnished, with long windows almost to the floor, and those preposterous English
probably
window
expensive.
fasteners which a child could open. Behind there was nothing remarkable, save that the passage window could be reached from the top of the coach house. I walked round it and examined it closely from every point of view.
That's some like Ocean's
Wow.
11
Nothing-
type
And-
deduction.
but without noting anything else
Yeah,
of
dude,
interest.
we're getting like a play-by-play on the deduction right
I then
now.
lounged down the street.
kinda
and
makes you
found,
wonder why he
as
didn't
I
just
expected,
Try and break
that there
in.
was a mews in a lane which runs down by one.
I mean, he was like there.
Of a
He might
garden.
as well.
I lent the ostlers a hand in rubbing down the horses, and
Now,
received
why
in
couldn't we
exchange
just like,
twopence,
why
a
do we
glass
have
of
to
half
hear
and
him
half,
talk about it in the past tense?
2 fills of shag tobacco, and as much information as I could desire about Miss Adler, to say nothing of half a dozen other people in the neighborhood.
He just helped
On-
rub
in
down
whom
some
I was
horses,
not
and they
in the least
they
interested,
just like gave him some
but whose
money and some
biographies
half and
I was
half.
compelled to listen to.
I don't know why they gave him that.
And what of Irene Adler? I asked.
Again, if some dude just tried to help me
Oh,
rub
she
down my
has turned
horse,
all the
I'd be like,
men's heads
whoa,
down in that part.
like
She
no,
is the daintiest
sir,
thing under a
that's
bonnet
weird.
on this
Yeah.
planet.
don't touch my
So
horses.
says
Don't touch my
Serpentine Muse
horses.
to a
Yeah.
man.
Like, those are my horses. Like,
Bonnie
She
and
lives
Clyde.
quietly,
Yeah.
sings at concerts,
I'm like turning
drives
them
out
into
at
glue
5
later this
every day,
week.
and
Please
returns
don't.
at
I'm
7
gonna
o'clock
enter them
to
in the
dinner.
races
Seldom
until
goes
they
out
can't run
other
anymore.
times,
Then I'm gonna
except
force
when she
them to make
sings.
babies,
Yep.
and
Has
then I'm
only
gonna
one
kill
male
them,
visitor.
Then
but
I'm
a
gonna
good
kill
deal
them
of it.
and send them to the glue
He is
factory.
dark,
which I'll use to
handsome,
make
and
scrapbooks.
dashing,
Yeah.
but
so
never
as
calls
you
less
know,
than once a day,
I'm a
and often
scrapbooker.
twice. He is a Mr. Godfrey
Please, sir,
Norton.
keep your hands
of
off
the
my
inner
damn
temple.
horses.
Yeah.
See,
sir.
the advantage of a cabman as a confidant.
I'm clearly a gentleman.
They had driven him home a dozen times from Serpentine Mews, and knew all about him. When I had listened to all they had to tell, I began to walk up and down near Bryony Lodge once more, and to think over my plan of campaign.
Sounds like you said Brian
This
Lodge.
Godfrey Norton
Yeah.
Like your
was
like
evidently
my
an important
lodge.
factor in the matter. He
what
was
would
a
your
lawyer.
lodge look like?
That's
Like
like
Ideal Brian Lodge. Go.
Okay.
What was the relation
It
between
would be like a cabin,
What was the
like
object
in the
of his
woods,
repeated
like,
visits?
Okay, I
like,
mean,
like a Tahoe cabin.
So
Was
far,
she his client,
it feels like it's
his
pretty
friend,
standard.
or his
I'm waiting to be
mistress?
wowed, but go ahead. Okay,
If the-
we'll start with the general log cabin.
Okay. It would
No,
have-
don't change it. I want to
transfer
hear
the
what it
photo.
is.
No,
Don't
no, no.
change
It's
it.
still a cabin in the woods,
If the latter,
but it has like
was less likely.
built-in like gaming
On the issue
room
of
and
this
an
question.
in-home movie theater,
Arcade room
and,
or
Depending
like
whether I could-
like
oh,
pool
an
take my
table,
work
arcade
at Bryony
room
Lodge,
and a
or
console
turn my
room
attention to the
and a
gentlemen's
pool
chambers
table
in the
room.
temple.
ping pong.
Yeah,
It
ping
was a
pong,
delicate
pool
point,
table,
and it winded
bowling
to the
alley.
field, and it widened the field of my inquiry.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah.
big
I
log
fear
cabin.
that I bore you
Yeah,
with these details.
I didn't
but
say it
I
was a
have to let
small
you
one.
see
Sorry.
my little
I let
difficulties
my weak
if you are
imagination.
to understand the situation.
Foosball, shuffleboard,
I'm following you
all of
closely.
it. It's all there.
What game
And then-
don't
I
you
was still
have?
balancing the matter in my mind when a handsome
I don't know,
cab
the
drove
Atari,
up to Bryony
like,
Lodge,
okay.
I'm over that.
and a gentleman sprang out. He was a remarkably
How many hot
remarkably
tubs?
handsome man,
Three, one for each
aquiline and
floor.
mustached.
Nice.
Yeah.
Evidently,
And then a
man
water
of whom I
slide
had
that
heard.
goes from the top one down to the bottom one.
he appeared to
That's
be in
great.
a great hurry.
Now, is the water
I shouted
slide
to the
like
cabman to
hot
wait,
water so
and he
you
brushed
like
past the
maintain
maid
a level
who
of
opened the door.
Yeah,
dude?
yeah.
And with the air
it's,
of a man
and
who
it's
was thoroughly
indoors.
at home.
But it has an attachment that can go outside
He
if
was-
you want like a little brisk cold air.
Oh,
He was in the house about
you could
half
make
an
it
hour.
like train
I could catch
tracks
glimpses of
where you're
his
coming
head through the
down and you're like
window.
junction.
yeah.
Like
Of the
no,
sitting
I
room.
want like a boom,
Pacing up and
you
down.
just like go outside,
Talking excitedly
dude.
and waving his arms.
Can you make it like literally
I
like
could see
giant
nothing.
Lincoln Logs? Like I'm imagining
Presently, he emerged.
it's like a
Looking
Oh
at
yeah,
mansion
yeah.
walking
The
around
slide,
floor.
the slide is
As he
also
stepped up to
made
the
of
cab,
wood.
he pulled a gold
That's-
watch from his pocket.
But
How
like
you
just
gonna
on the
scoot down
outside for aesthetics.
Okay.
Like the
Drive like the
inside
devil,
is like
he
nice,
shouted.
smooth, like plastic or
First to
whatever,
Gross
you
and
know, those
Hankey's
things.
and Regent
I don't know. I'm
Street.
just gonna
it's like
pay
fiber.
for it.
Isn't it like fiberglass?
The
I don't
Church
know.
Yeah.
of Saint Monica
Yeah.
in the Edgware of Road. Half a guinea if you do it in 20
Sorry.
minutes.
Wait, what'd you say,
Away
Ryan?
they went.
He's
And I
having a
was
little
just wondering
trouble.
whether I
Uh-oh.
should do- And I was just wondering whether I should not do well to follow them. When up,
Was this
up
your
the
first
lane
day
came
out
a
of the
neat
job?
little lantern. the coachman with his
Idiot.
coat only half buttoned,
What, have you
and his
never
tie
done this
under his
before?
ear, all while the tags of his harness
Oh,
were sticking
this reminds
out
me
his
of
buckles.
School.
I
And
hadn't
we'd have to
pulled
like
up
read
before.
paragraphs of like a book. Have you ever had like I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
like if it was English
Yeah.
class
Pulled up
and you're like,
before.
okay, you read
She
this
shot
paragraph
out of the
and then you're
hall
like, well,
door and into it.
and then you're always like
I only
super
caught a
nervous.
glimpse of her.
So I mean, he's doing a pretty good job.
But she was a lovely
Yeah,
woman.
you'd like fuck up and then
I would
everyone
try to like
laugh.
read
that
my
man might
lines
die.
ahead of time to myself, so I knew it
The
was
Church
coming.
of Saint Monica,
Then you're
John.
missing
she
out on
cried.
the information.
And half a sovereign if you teach it in
Dude,
20 minutes.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is like what
This
you
was
look
quite
like
too
in front
good
of
to
your
lose.
classmates.
Yeah, because otherwise the
I
girls
was
won't
just
want
balancing
to kiss
whether
you.
I should
Yeah.
run for it.
Right.
'Cause that's
if
like-
you didn't read your
Approach behind
paragraph
the
well, the
landau
girls
when the
wouldn't
cab
kiss
came
you at
through
the
the
sock
street.
hop.
And like
The
that
driver looked twice
basically,
at such a shabby fare.
you know, in high school
But I
is
jumped
like
in
the
before he
equivalent
could
of having
reject.
sex now.
Yeah. Right.
The
Just
Church of
going
Saint
to a
Monica,
dance
said I.
together and
Half a sovereign if you reach it in 20
grinding.
minutes. It was 25 minutes to 12,
Oh, the
and of
Catholics
course it was clear
hiding
enough
boners.
what was in the wind.
yeah,
My cabbie drove
in
fast.
class.
I don't think I
Oh,
ever
yeah,
drove
yeah.
faster,
Whoever said high school was the best
but
time
the
of
others
your
were there
life
before us. The
must
cab
have
and the landau with their
died
steaming
And
horses
never
high
gone to
school.
college.
Like, yeah.
fronted the door when I arrived. I paid the man and hurried
or
into the church.
or is like bitter and just
there
lied
was
to
not a
people
soul
to like
there,
set
save
him up.
the two whom I had
I,
followed.
I had a
and
phenomenal
surplus-
time in high school.
and a
The only
surplus
people that say
clergyman
that are people that hate
who
the
seemed to
rest
be
of their lives.
expostulating with
Yeah,
They were all
And they're the
three
ones that
standing
have
in a
kids
knot
early,
in
and they're
front of
like,
the altar.
best time of your life
Lounged
is
up
gonna be
side-
high
the side
school.
aisle,
It's
like
all
any other
downhill
idler
from there.
who was,
I'm
who
like,
was
no,
dropped inside
man.
of a church.
Nowadays, I like
Suddenly,
have my own
to my
place.
surprise,
I live by my own
three of the
rules,
altar faced
Yeah.
round
and
to
I
me,
buy
and
like
Godfrey
every
Norton
collectible
came
Power
running as
Ranger
hard
Yeah,
as
and
every
everything
collect-
else.
Thank God, he
Like
cried.
young
You'll
me,
do. Come,
with the exception of maybe
What
physically,
then? I asked.
would just be like,
Come, man.
dude.
Only 3 minutes.
I'd be like,
Good job.
or it won't be legal.
you want to hang out?
I was half
Can
dragged
I?
up to the
I would
altar.
be best friends
You'd
with
be
like
you'd
13-year-old
be awesome,
me.
Uncle
before I
Davis
knew
to
where I
little
was
Davis.
found-
So like little Davis. I would
And
train
before I
him
knew where I was,
to like play my
I found
support
myself mumbling
in like
responses,
Smite
which were whispered
Yeah.
in
stuff.
my ear, and
I'd like
vouching
train
for
him to
things of
be
which I knew nothing.
just there to like
Generally
assist
assisting in
Yeah.
the secure tying up of
Dude,
Irene
I'm like
Irene
totally
Adler,
out of this story
sprinster
right now.
to Godfrey Norton, bachelor.
me. I don't even know what you just said.
It was all done in an instant. There was the gentleman thanking me on one side, and the lady on the other, while the clergyman beamed on me in front. It was the most preposterous position in which
clergyman
I had
beamed
ever
on-
found myself
He said
in my life.
preposterous a lot. I feel like
And it
Sherlock
was the
says
thought of it
preposterous a
that
lot.
started me
It's
It's like-
preposterous.
It's like
It
in
seems that
Princess
there's been
Bride, where the guy's like
some
inconceivable, and then Andre the Giant or
clergyman
whatever,
absolutely
or maybe this other
refused to
guy's
marry
like,
them
I don't think it
without a
means
witness
what
of
you
some
think
sort.
it means. Like that, I
and
think
that my lucky
preposterous might
appearance saved the,
not mean
the
what
bridegroom
Sherlock. No,
from
Sherlock's a
having
smart
to
guy.
sally
Yeah.
out into the streets.
It's
in
just
search
like
of
a
a best
favorite
man.
word.
The bride gave me a sovereign,
Preposterous.
and I mean to wear it on my watch chain in
Preposterous.
memory
Fun
of
to
the
say.
occasion.
It sounds like really
This is a very unexpected
uh,
turn of affairs,
I don't know.
said I.
reverent
then?
or like eloquent, but also
Well,
like snooty
I
at
found
the
my
same
planes
time.
very seriously menaced.
See,
It looks
because
as
like
if the pair might
yeah,
take
that's like
an
the nicest way of
immediate
saying
departure.
bullshit.
So,
Yeah. Preposterous.
necessitate every
Bullshit.
bullshit and energetic measures on my part.
Preposterous.
At the church door, however, they
Bullshit.
separated. He was
Bullshit.
driving back to the temple, and
Bullshit.
she to her own house.
Bullshit.
well, he's not saying preposterous now. So you're,
I shall
No,
drive
I'm-
to the park
you're just
at
shouting
5 as
Sorry,
usual.
I'm just saying it. All the facts he's
She
stating are
said as she left
bullshit.
them. I heard no more. They drove away in different directions, and I went off to make my own arrangements. Which are?
shit.
Some cold beef and a glass of beer, he answered,
What?
ringing a bell.
I mean,
I've been too
Cold
busy to
beef
think
and
of
a
food,
glass
and I am
of-
likely
man.
to be
hold
busier
on. First of
still
all, I
this
mean the
evening.
glass, like beef
By the
and
way, way,
beer is a great combination.
your
But
cooperation.
why cold?
I shall be delighted.
Huh.
You don't mind breaking
Wait,
the
did
law.
like-
you go to a
Not in the
thing
least.
recently where all you
Nor
ate
running
was
a chance of
meat
arrest.
and beer?
Not in a good cause. Oh, the cause
Yeah,
is
but the
excellent.
meat was like
And
hot.
I'm your man.
Yeah, why is this cold?
I was sure
Well,
that
and it's
I
like,
might rely
is it
on
like
you.
cold beef, like uncooked
But what is
beef,
it you
or
wish?
is it like cooked beef and
When
then
Mrs.
like
Turner
let it get cold?
has brought in the tray, I will make it clear.
It's
to
like-
you,
Also, he didn't even
No.
say put it in a sandwich or anything. You just said I
said
had
as he
cold
turned.
beef and a beer.
hungrily.
You're like, I would like
simple
some
fare that
cold
our
beef and a
landlady
beer, and you're like,
provided.
okay.
I must discuss
Alright.
it while I eat.
We've literally
For I have
done
not much
nothing
time.
to
It
this
is
other
nearly
than
five.
cut
They're like,
it off the cow.
This
2
was
hours,
from our
we must be
dinner
on the scene
yesterday.
of
It's in the
action.
fridge. Like,
Yeah.
Miss Irene,
Leftover
or Madame,
beef.
rather,
and here's like some Coors.
returns from her drive.
And
at
he's like,
7.
"Mm,
You must
delicious."
Be at Briny Lodge to meet her. And what then?
It's not like
You must
cooked
leave
or
that to me.
peppered or anything.
But I
I've
bet
already
you though, if
arranged
you
that-
like,
what is to occur.
if you kind of like dunked
There
the
is only
beef
one
into
point
the
to
beer
which
and
I
just
must
like ate it,
insist.
it might not be
You must
terrible.
not interfere.
Yeah, that would help. It's
Come
like
what may.
marinating it
You
yourself.
understand?
It's like a British
I
dip.
aim to be neutral. To do nothing whatever. There will probably be some small unpleasantness. Do not join in it.
Whoa.
It will end in my being conveyed into the house. 4 or 5 minutes afterwards,
Are they
the sitting
talking
room
about
window
like
will.
an orgy?
You are to station yourself close.
It's gonna
to that
get
open
freaky.
window.
Don't
Wait,
jump
yes.
in.
You are to watch me, for I will
And
be
he's
visible
giving-
to you.
Whoa,
Yes.
watch me.
And when I raise my hand, so, you will throw
Dude, I think
into
you're
the
right.
room, and you will throw into the room what I give you to throw, and will, at the same time,
A
raise
penis.
the cry of fire.
Anal beads.
The rise
follow me.
of fire.
Entirely.
Oh, that must be when they get
is nothing very
the
formidable.
STDs.
It's about
Said,
time,
taking
man.
a long
'Cause, like,
cigar-shaped roll.
it was
from
a
his pocket.
slow burn for
Yeah.
the sex scene.
It is an
Yeah.
ordinary plumber's smoke rocket,
Oh,
fitted with a cap.
Smoked
at either
rocket.
end
What do you think
to
that
make itself
means?
light.
clearly
Your
innuendo.
task is confined to that. When you raise your cry of fire,
If we ever have to, I just thought of
it will be
something.
taken up
If
by
we
a
ever
large number
have
of
a
people.
rap song that
you
has
may
the
then
word
walk
innuendo,
to the end of the street, and I
Nintendo.
will join you
That-
in 10 minutes.
Just perfect
I
rhyme,
hope that I have
man.
made myself clear.
I don't know what we're
I am
gonna
to
do with
remain
that, but I
neutral.
just thought of it right
Innuendo
Get to the near
Nintendo.
window to
It's
watch
locked.
And at the signal to throw in this object, then to raise the cry of fire,
Whoa.
and to await you at the corner of the street.
The object
Precisely.
raised the cry of fire.
now.
Then you may
smoked
entirely rely
rocket.
on
Yeah.
I got
It
a
is
rocket
excellent,
you
I
can
think.
smoke.
Perhaps
Yes, it's my
it is
penis.
almost time that I prepare
I meant my penis.
for the new role I have to play. He disappeared into
Cool.
his bedroom and returned in a few minutes in a
Dude.
Also, the
character of
cry
an
of fire
amiable,
sounds like a cry
simple-minded,
of
nonconformist
passion.
clergyman.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His broad black hat, his baggy trousers, his white tie, his sympathetic
Oh,
smile,
They're
and
explaining
general
all the
look
clothes
of
he's gonna
peering
take
and
off.
benevolent curiosity were such as Mr. John Hare alone could have achieved.
John Hare. That's like
It's
his
like John
It
Hamm.
was not merely that
like,
Holmes changed his
circa
costume,
100
his
years
expression,
ago.
his manner.
it's like
his
his
very
it's like his
soul
he's
seemed-
like alias.
seemed to
It's like
vary-
Yeah.
with
John
every fresh
Hare.
part that he
John
assumed.
Hare.
The stage of a
John
lost
Hare
fine
today,
actor,
He's-
gone
even
tomorrow.
as science lost an acute reasoner.
He's probably the
when he
one with the
became a
big
specialist in
rocket.
crime.
If you know what I mean. Innuendo.
Oh. Yeah, it's the 1800s. I guess we went to the moon in the 60s. Yeah. It's important distinction that it's
was
not a
quarter
real
past
rocket.
6 when we
It's not a
left
real
Baker
rocket, guys.
It's not a real
And I still
rocket.
wanted 10 minutes to the hour when we found ourselves in Serpentine Avenue.
Ooh.
It was already dusk.
Serpentine.
The lamps were just
Serpentine.
being lit
God, all
as we
these
paced up and down
innuendos.
in front of
This
Bryony
whole
Lodge,
thing is like a metaphor,
waiting for the
right?
coming of its occupant.
It's a metaphor
The
for
house was
sex.
just
For
such
like Watson and
as I pictured it
Sherlock.
from Sherlock Holmes'
Like,
succinct description.
Yeah.
They like love each other,
But the locality,
But like,
they can't-
based
be
on a
less
time
private than I
period,
expected.
they can't do
but it's like
anything about it.
unacceptable. For,
contrary.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
For a small
and then like
street
the
in a quiet
king
neighborhood,
had some like
was remarkably
compromising
animated.
photos, and he had to wear a mask. Why are they
There was a group of
compromising?
shabbily
Because
dressed
they might be
men
not on the up
smoking
and
and
up.
laughing in the corner. A scissors grinder with his wheel.
Okay.
Maybe she's
Two
not really a
guardsmen
woman.
flirting with a nurse.
Irene Adler.
And several
Yeah.
well-dressed young men were
Adler.
lounging
More
up
like-
and down with cigars in their
What's
mouths.
like a man's version of
Mandler.
Irene Mandler?
You
Oh.
see,
I'll
remarked
allow
Holmes,
it.
as we paced to and fro in front of the house, this marriage rather simplifies matters.
Oh shit.
Oh, marriage
photograph
always
becomes a
complicates
double-edged weapon
things.
now.
Boo.
The chances that she would be as averse to its being seen by Mr. Godfrey Norton as our client is to its coming to the eyes of his princess.
It came
Coming
in
to
his
the
eyes.
Where are we to find it?
Pew, 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 pew.
It is most unlikely that she carries
That would
it
be
about
really.
with her.
That would be really funny.
It is cabinet
if you
sized.
came and
Too
just
large
like
for
every
easy
time like
concealment.
one of the air horns
Without
blasts.
a woman's dress. She knows that the king is capable of having her waylaid and
Your
searched.
neighbors would probably hate it.
2 attempts of the sort have already been made.
It would probably
it
be
then
really
that she
jealous.
does
They'd
not
be like,
carry
oh, he's
it
having
about with
sex
her.
again?
Where then?
God, that's like the 3rd time this
Bangkok.
afternoon.
Or her lawyer.
Man, his refractory
double
period is
possibility.
really quick.
But I am inclined to think neither. Women are naturally secretive.
His ulti is off cooldown.
and they do like their own secreting.
Secreting!
Okay.
Why
he said
should she
secreting.
hand it over to anyone else?
Is anyone
She could
else
trust
picking
her
up
own
on this?
guardianship.
Has
Yeah.
anyone else picked
But she
up on
could
this in
not
the last
tell what
100 years?
indirect or political
Well, I
influence
mean, also
might
we're
be
pretty
brought to
mature,
bear
so we
upon a
like
person.
Oh, yeah.
we can read subtexts.
Besides,
And we're in
remember
the
that she
future, so
had
like
resolved to
I
use
think
it
we
within
can
a few
read through
days.
this better than
It
the
must be
past
where she can lay her
humans
hands
could.
upon it.
Yeah.
It must
Past
be
humans
in her
were
own
dumb,
house.
but
Yeah.
we are smart.
We are
But it
smart.
has twice been
We
burgled.
have the Google.
Sure.
Dude, Google
They did
probably
not know
already
how to
says
look.
all this. Google
how
probably
will you
says
look?
like,
I will not
oh
look.
yeah, everything
What
was
then?
an innuendo for sex about
get her to show
Sherlock
you.
and
But she will
Watson.
refuse.
Like
Yeah.
everything was about
She will
their
not be able
sexual
to.
frustration between
But I
each
hear the
other.
rumble of
Every
but I hear the
case
rumble of
that they
wheels.
had to
It is her
solve?
carriage. Now carry out my orders to the letter. As he spoke, the gleam of
Yeah.
of sidelights of a carriage came round the
dramatic
curve of the
emphasis.
avenue.
They're all
It
these
was
are
a
all
smart
stories
little
about sex
landau,
because as you
which
guys
rattled
know,
up to the door of
uh,
Bryony Lodge.
before there
As
was
it
like
pulled up,
nair
One
and,
of the loafing
and
men
waxing.
at the corner dashed forward,
and everyone
to the
just had
open
mad
door in the
bush.
hope of earning a copper, but he was elbowed away by
There was just a lot of sexual
who had
frustration.
brushed up with the same intention. A fierce quarrel broke out.
So that's
which
that's
was
basically
increased by the
what
two
all
guardsmen
of
who took
literature
sides
was
with
before
one of the
like
loungers.
the
And by the
80s.
scissors grinder,
Oh,
This is
right,
like-
and then
it
there
was
was
equally hot on the
sexual
side.
liberation.
a blow was
and-
struck,
Yeah.
and in an instant,
And
the lady
women, like,
who had stepped from
burning
her
their
carriage
bras and
was
their
the center of a little knot of
bushes.
flushed and struggling men
They
who
burn their
struck
bras?
savagely at each other with their
Yeah,
fists
man.
and sticks. Holmes dashed into the crowd to protect the lady,
Seems like
but just as he reached her,
Seems like a
he
waste
gave a
of
cry
fabric.
and dropped to the ground, with blood running freely down his face.
Whoa.
Whoa.
At his
Whoa,
fall,
we
the
missed
guardsmen
some
took to
stuff.
their heels in one direction and the loungers in the other,
One Direction.
while a number of better dressed people who had watched the scuffle,
Dude,
without taking part in
Sorry.
it,
too soon.
crowded
Zane-
in to
No,
help the
Zane
lady.
Zane
just
attend
left.
to
Just
man.
left.
Oh, no.
Irene Adler, as I will still call her, had hurried up to the.
It's always the bad boy.
But she stood
Yeah.
at the top. with
Wait,
a
he's the bad boy?
Superb
He's the
figure
bad boy.
Outlined against the lights of the hall, looking back.
I
into
thought
the
they were
street.
all bad boys except for the one that looks like Ellen DeGeneres.
Is the poor gentleman much hurt? She asked.
Yeah.
He is dead.
He's like the
cried
good
several
one.
voices.
And it's
No,
like
no, there's life in him.
Which one?
Shouted another.
Zane? Or
But he'll be
No.
gone
Ellen
before you can get him to the
DeGeneres one?
hospital.
like the blonde.
He's
like the
a
blonde
brave
one.
fellow.
Uh-huh.
said
He's
a
the
woman.
only one that has musical ability. He plays the guitar.
They would have had the lady's
Allegedly.
purse and watch if it
Yeah.
hadn't been for him.
I mean, who knows?
Just like
They were a
Ryan
gang
plays
and a
the
rough
guitar
one too.
too.
Ah,
Yeah.
he's breathing now. He can't lie in the street. May we bring him in, ma'am? Surely. Bring him to the sitting room. There is a comfortable sofa.
Smoke
This
and
way,
mirrors,
please.
as they say.
Look at these
Slowly
rich
and so-
people.
slowly and
they got
solemnly,
so much money.
he was
They
borne
can just
into
have
Bryony
rooms
Lodge.
for sitting.
And laid out in the principal room.
I have to just
While I
fold
still
that
observed
function
the
into other.
proceedings from my post
other
by
Yeah,
the window.
it's my sitting
The lamps had been
and
lit,
gaming
but the
and
blinds had not been
masturbation
drawn,
room.
Yeah.
so that I could see Holmes as he lay upon the couch.
It's my sitting
I did
and
not
pooping
know
room.
Whether he was seized with
It's my sitting
compunction
and making
at the
dinner.
moment
You know,
for
that's
the
how
part
my
he was
rooms work.
playing. But I know that he never felt more heartily ashamed of myself. That I never felt more heartily ashamed of myself in my life than when I saw the beautiful creature against whom I was conspiring, and observed the grace and kindliness with which she waited upon the injured man.
Oh,
This guy's
no.
taking this story so seriously,
blackest
and it
tragedy
doesn't
of all.
need to take this
draw
long to
back
tell
now.
it. Ugh.
No,
He
see,
had
it's
entrusted
important
to me.
because
I hardened
this
my
is
heart.
him seeing Irene
and
for the
took
first
the
time.
smoke
I
rocket
think
from
I don't really
un-
pay a
my
lot of
ulster.
attention, but like
After
you know how
all,
in
I
movies
thought,
it like
we are
goes
not
like
injuring her.
Ba,
But we are
ba,
preventing- preventing
like it
her.
like
Oh.
zooms in. That because you
Holmes
can't.
sat up
That's
on the
like
couch,
that's him
and I
being
saw him
like
motion like a
she
man who
had
was in
great
need of air.
tits.
Oh,
Made
it
a
was like the
response
a
close
10.
up.
in the window.
Yeah,
It's like the slow
At
mo
the same
movie
instant,
moment
I saw
yeah.
him
Or if
raise
it was
his
like a
hand,
Michael Bay movie,
and at the
it's
signal,
like
I tossed
the
my
shot.
rocket into the room.
where the
with a cry of,
explosion's behind her
"Fire!"
and she's sweating and her
Yeah.
boobs are
The
falling
word was no
towards
sooner out of my
camera.
mouth.
Yeah,
than the
And
whole
her
crowd
name's
of
Megan
spectators,
Fox, and
well,
she's
But like
in
a young
every Michael
gentleman,
Bay
but like a
movie.
young
Hustlers
Megan,
and
like
servant
before
maids.
the
Like
plastic
before
surgery,
General
Teenage
shriek
Mutant
of
ravaged
Turtles.
her face
Megan Fox
and her ability
Yeah.
to
Thick
emote.
clouds of smoke curled through the room.
April O'Neil.
And out the open window,
More like
I caught
April.
a glimpse of rushing figures.
No, Neil.
And a moment
Yeah.
later,
Like, no,
the
thank
voice
you,
of Holmes
Neil.
from within assuring them
Neil, please
that it was a
stop.
false alarm.
Stop, Neil.
No means no, Neil.
No, Neil.
Slipping
Down,
through
Neil.
the shouting
Neil, I
crowd, I
appreciate
made my
it, but
way to the
I'm
corner
not
of
into
the
that
street,
kind of thing.
and in 10 minutes was rejoiced to
kidding,
find
I
my
am.
friend's arm in mine and relieved to get away from the scene of our uproar. He walked swiftly, and in silence for some few minutes,
He walks
until we had
stiffly.
returned down
Boner.
to the
He had to walk
Boner.
it off.
quiet streets, which led towards
Boner.
Boner.
Road.
Boner.
He remarked.
Can we do-
My
better.
boner.
All right,
Can we do a
have a
Mash Runner Bear?
photograph? I know what it is. And how did you find out? She showed me,
Boner.
as I told you she would.
I
I am still in the dark.
real talk. I
I
want
do
to
not
make.
wish to make a mystery, he said.
We're gonna put that in the old bank.
The matter is perfectly simple. You, of course,
Boner parody.
saw that everyone in the street was an accomplice. They were all engaged for the evening. I guessed as much.
It's really awkward when we're quiet and he's
Then,
quiet.
When the row broke out,
They
Makes
call
me
it. They call it a
uncomfortable.
pregnant
a
pause.
little moist red paint in the palm of my
Why
hand.
do they call
I
it
rushed
that?
forward, fell down,
I don't know.
cut
but
my hand to my face.
I've heard people
and
say
became a
that.
piteous
That's what
spectacle.
that is.
It is an old trick.
And I never actually
That I
even
could also
thought to
fathom.
question why it's called a pregnant pause.
Then they carried me in.
Huh.
She was bound to have me in. What else could she do? And into her sitting room, which was
Yeah.
the very room which I suspected. It
That's
lay
weird.
between that and
Yeah,
her
you.
bedroom.
When do you pause when you're
determined to see
pregnant?
I gotta look this up.
They laid me on
Keep
a couch.
them, you
I
know,
motioned for
Okay.
air.
entertain people. Tell them that
Felt
joke.
Alright.
compelled to open the window.
Beep, 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 beep.
You had your chance.
Dude, you're nailing it with the
How
songs.
did that help you?
Uh,
It was all important.
When
When a woman thinks that her house is on fire, Her instinct is to at once
Oh,
rush
okay,
to the
alright.
thing
Urban
which she values
Dictionary.
most. It is a
Pregnant
perfectly
pause.
overpowering
The silence that
device.
occurs after someone. Oh,
And I have more than
I
once
was
taken
wrong.
advantage of it.
someone has said
In
or
the
done
case of
something
the
that leaves
Darlington
everyone
substitution scandal,
who bore witness to the
It was
event
of use to me.
speechless.
and also in the Arnsworth,
Oh,
Castle
like
business.
I'm pregnant.
a married woman
No.
grabs a baby. An unmarried one
Oh,
reaches for
damn!
a jewel box.
Wait!
Now it is
That's
now it
probably
was clear
exactly
to me
what-
that Our Lady
Nailed
of
it.
today
Got
had
it.
nothing in the house more precious to her
You're
than
smart.
what we are in.
Why aren't you reading this with the
I don't know.
analysis?
She would rush to
I
secure
asked
it.
to.
The fire
You
alarm
guys wouldn't
was
let me.
admirably done. The
You wouldn't be
smoke
like
and shouting were
stuttering
enough to
Stanley
shake
over here.
nerves of steel. She responded beautifully.
More like repeating
Photograph.
Ryan over here.
He's in a
It's like
recess behind
Ryan.
a sliding
The
panel
the
just
words
above
are
the right
written
bell
down
ring.
for you. What's your
She was
problem?
there in an instant.
You don't have to like
Caught a glimpse of it.
remember it. You
She'd
can just
have to
read
recount.
it.
When I cried out that it was a false alarm, she replaced
Yeah,
it,
he's.
glanced at the rocket,
His
rushed from the
voice
room,
is
and I've
soothing
not
though.
seen her since.
Oh, the rocket
I
again.
rose,
Glanced
Red
at the rocket,
making my
ran from the
excuses,
room, and
escaped
not seen from
from the
again.
house.
Which means one of two things: A,
I hesitated
his dick
whether
was
to
so
attempt to
huge
secure the
that
photograph
she's
at
like,
once, but the
"No
coachman
way!"
had come in,
uh-uh.
and he was watching me narrowly.
You're not getting in here.
seems safer
That's
to wait.
like there's just
It's called
Little
physics.
Precipitants may ruin all. And now? I asked.
or
Our quest is
it was
practically
weird.
finished.
It was like a weird
Call
dick.
for the
Yeah,
king tomorrow,
yeah.
and with
Like
you,
it like
if you care
curved
to come
up
with
and
us,
around
you
back
will be
towards the
shown
belly button.
Second
room
star to the
to
right
the
and
lady.
straight on till morning.
It's
Peter
probable
Pan dick.
that when she comes, she
You're
may
just like,
find neither of us. or the
Also
photograph.
physics.
It may be,
but a
it might
different
be
kind.
satisfaction
Different
to His
kind of
Majesty
physics.
to regain it with his own hands.
More
And
like
when will you
vector
call?
physics.
At 8 in the morning, she will not be up, so that we will have a clear, so that we shall have a clear field.
Today, Ryan.
Besides, we must be
Eight-
prompt.
I'm being
For
mean.
this
I love that
marriage
it's like
will be a
8
complete
a.m. She
change in
won't
her
be up.
life and habits.
Uh,
I must wire to the king.
Don't
without
women
delay.
have to wake up by then to make
We had reached
breakfast in
Baker
this
Street
time period?
and
yeah.
had stopped at the door.
Not
He
gonna
was
be
searching his
up.
pockets for the key when someone passing said, "Good night, Mr.
She
Sherlock
should have
Holmes."
already given a hand job and cooked 2 eggs by
There
then.
were several people in the pavement at the time, but the greeting
Yep.
appeared to come from a
That's it,
slim
nailed
youth
it.
in an ulster who had hurried by. I've heard that voice before.
Holy crap.
said
Also,
Holmes,
the
staring
author.
down the dimly lit street.
That is not
I wonder
what I
who the
thought
deuce
Arthur Conan
that could
Doyle
be.
looked like.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. His mustache is pretty nice. Oh, Ryan is getting really into this part. Oh,
The end of part 2.
end of part 2.
You know, I'm just gonna say it.
Now
Not
we
the
begin
best
final
part 2.
Yeah.
In a world of Empire Strikes Back and Godfather 2s,
And
slept at
Spider-Man
Baker
2.
Street
that was like
And
Meet
we
the
were in-
Parents
and
2,
we were
Meet the
engaged upon our
Fockers.
toast
Yeah.
and coffee in the morning when the king of Bohemia rushed into
Oh,
the
God.
room. "You've
Ready?
really got it!" he cried,
All right.
grasping Sherlock Holmes by either shoulder.
You know how like they have those Twitter
and looking eagerly
hashtags
into his
like
face.
ruin a
Not
movie
yet.
where you like
But you have hopes? I
Yeah.
have hopes.
like ruin
Then come.
ruin a
I am all
classical
impatience to be gone.
author. Sir
We must have a cab.
Arthur
No,
Conan
welcome
the
is waiting.
Barbarian Doyle.
That will
Nice.
simplify matters. We
You could
descended and
give me the
started
fifth.
off once more.
You're gonna
the
like
Briny
you want to
Lodge.
do that?
Yeah.
Irene Adler is married, remarked Holmes.
What?
That was good.
Married? When?
Married?
Yesterday. But to whom? To an English lawyer named Norton.
Hold on.
But she could not love him. I am in hopes.
Oh,
that she
I got
does.
one. I got one.
And
Sir
fine hopes.
Sir Arthur Conan
Because it will
O'Doyle
spare your
rules.
majesty
Yeah.
all future annoyance. If the lady loves her husband, she does not love your majesty. If she does not love your majesty, then there is no reason why she should interfere with your majesty's
Is
plan.
Doyle a fruit juice?
It is true, and yet, well,
Dole.
I wish she had been of my own station.
Like
What
Dole
a
Whip
queen she would have made.
Dole Whip.
from
He relapsed into
Disneyland?
lonely silence,
Disneyland.
which was
Oh,
not
so
broken until
good.
we drew up in serpentine.
Now I really
want.
want
I
it.
really want that.
The door of Briny
Damn
Lodge
it.
was open.
Thank you.
And an elderly woman stood upon the steps.
Or
She
like
watched us with a
O'Doul's,
sardonic
like that
eye
beer that
as we
isn't
stepped from the
beer,
brougham.
that tastes like beer, but you don't get drunk
Mr.
off
Sherlock
it.
Holmes, I
Which is
believe.
just dumb.
No,
Said she.
you
I'm
Borja.
Mr. Holmes.
Oh right, if you
Answered
drink
my companion,
enough,
looking at her
there's a
with a
small,
rather
small
startling
percentage of
thought
beer.
It's not,
or
but it's not
alcohol.
even that. Oh my god, there was
Indeed.
This is actually a real
mistress told
story.
me that you were likely to call.
A buddy was over at my house.
left this
and
morning with her
it's like,
husband
oh, you
by
want a
a
beer? And he's like,
5:15
yeah.
train
And I'm like, well,
from
what kind
Charing
do you
Cross
want? And he's
for
like,
the continent.
whatever. And so I opened up
What?
my thing and I saw we
Sherlock
had
Holmes staggered back, white
some
with chagrin and surprise.
O'Doul's in
Do you
there
mean that
because I
she
guess
has
like
left
I don't know,
England?
someone who come
Right.
over
Never
didn't
to
drink it.
return.
And so I was like, this is hilarious.
the
I'm gonna
paper?
give it to him and
Said
see
the
if he
king
has
hoarsely.
it. And
All
so I
is
kept
lost?
giving him O'Doul's.
We shall
and he
see.
actually was like, dude,
Holmes pushed past the servant and brushed
He's
I'm
like, dude, I'm
so-
feeling like drunk
followed
already
by the
after a
king
couple.
and myself.
And it's
The
like
furniture
he was like
scattered
slurring
in
his
every
speech.
direction, with dismantled
and-
shelves and open drawers.
And then I was like,
as if the lady had
I
hurriedly
gave you an
ransacked them
alcoholic beer.
before
And he's
the
like,
flight.
no.
Holmes
no.
rushed at the bell.
No, you
pull,
didn't.
tore
There's
back
no
the
way.
sliding
There's
shutter,
no
And he
way.
didn't
plunging in
believe
his
me.
hand,
But then he
pulled out
like
a photograph. And I left
basically
Started acting
immediately
sober.
sobered up.
The photograph was of Irene Adler herself. In evening
Oh,
dress.
Irene Adler
The
again.
letter
Evening
was
dress.
superscribed. To Sherlock Holmes, Esquire, to be left till called for. My friend tore it open, and we all three read it together. It was dated at midnight, at the preceding, and it ran this way.
He's getting serious.
My dear Sherlock Holmes, you really did it very well.
Oh, I like this.
You took
voice,
me in
too.
completely.
Hello.
Oh!
Until, after the alarm
Wait, he took
of
her
fire,
in completely?
I had not a suspicion.
Shouldn't it be
But
the other
then,
way around?
When I found out how I had betrayed myself, I began to think that I had been warned against you months ago. I had been told of that. If the king employed an agent, it would certainly be you. And
Uh-oh.
your address had been given to me.
Oh,
Yet,
no.
with all this,
Oh, she
you
got
made me
him.
reveal that you wanted what you wanted to know. Even after I became suspicious, I found it hard to think evil of such a dear, kind, old clergyman.
Dude.
But you know, I have been trained as an actress myself. Male
Damn.
costume is nothing new to me. I often take advantage of the freedom which it gives. I sent John, the coachman, to watch for you.
She's freaky.
Ran upstairs,
She likes to
got into my
roleplay.
walking
Yeah.
clothes, and as I called them, and came down just as you departed.
Dude.
Well, I followed you to your door,
she fooled him.
and so made sure
Fool me
It's-
that
Once.
it was
once.
really an object of interest. to
Shame
the
on
celebrated
you.
Shame on-
Sherlock Holmes. Then I, rather
It's like,
imprudently, wished
Dude,
you
it's
a
like
good night.
Casino Royale.
And
She's
started for
like,
the temple
she
to see my
betrayed him.
husband.
Yeah, but I feel like
We
in
both had
that
the best resources
she wasn't
flight.
like
When pursued
it wasn't
by
like
so
a gotcha.
formidable an
It
antagonist.
was like a.
So you
Oh,
will find
yeah.
the empty nest.
wasn't it
when
like a
when you
hostage
called tomorrow.
situation. I don't-
Yeah, her.
As to the
fiancé.
photograph,
Yeah,
your
okay,
client
her
may rest in
fiance, but then there's also
I love
Daniel
and
Craig,
am
James
loved
Bond.
by a better man than he.
Guess what? That's
The
a
king
free
may do
out.
what
Yeah,
he
Hello?
will without
easy out.
hindrance from one whom
If
he
you're
is
like,
cruelly wronged.
oh,
I keep it
let's
only to
see,
safeguard
there's this
myself.
hot new Bond guy,
And to preserve a
but
weapon
I have
which
my
will
fiance.
always
Oh,
secure
you
me from
kidnapped
any
him? You're gonna
steps
kill him?
which he might take.
Oh no, my
I have
hands
a
are
photograph
tied.
which
This really
Can't
sucks.
possess.
By James
I
Bond
remain-
in the bedroom.
Dear
Oh no,
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, very truly yours,
He's probably into that kind of stuff.
Irene Norton, nee Adler.
Whoa. She told him though.
What a woman! Oh, what a woman! cried the king of Bohemia.
Oh, they're so offensive to women.
When we had all three read this epistle. Did I not tell you how quick and resolute she was? Would she not have made an admirable queen? It is not a pity that she was
Queen?
not on my level. From what I have
Sounds
seen
like
of the
she's
lady,
kind of
she
beyond your
seems
level.
indeed to be on a very different level from your majesty.
Oh shit!
Oh.
We just made the
I
same
am sorry
burn.
that I
Yeah.
have
Me and Arthur
been that I have not been
Conan
able
the
to bring your
Barbarian.
majesty's business to a more successful conclusion. On the contrary, my dear sir, cried the king. Nothing could be more successful. I know that her word is inviolate. The photograph is now safe as it were in the fire.
I
I'm
think
glad
you
to
said
hear your majesty
invalid.
say so. I am immensely indebted to you. Pray, tell me what way I can reward you. This ring?
I still can't
He
get over
slipped an
this.
emerald
It's the
snake ring
king's
from his finger
voice.
and held it out upon the palm of his hand.
decree.
Your majesty has something which I should value even more highly, said Holmes.
Wow, Sherlock
But you have
really
to-
respects that
You
woman
have but
after
to name it.
what she did.
This photograph. The king stared at him in amazement.
They're actually no, I got it. When Halo 2 came out
Irene's
and I was
photograph!
playing online,
He cried. Certainly you wish it.
there was this
I
like
thank your majesty.
girl that just like
But there is no more to
was
be
really
done.
destroyed
good.
me.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
the honor
I like
to wish
I like
you a very
teabagged
good
her,
morning.
not
He bowed.
knowing she was a
Turned
girl,
away
but just
without
because like
observing the hand
you know when you're younger you
with-
think that's
which
like
the
funny
king
to
had
do,
stretched out to
and then
him.
she just like
He set off in my
owned
company
me for like
his
the rest of the
chambers.
game, and I was like, yo,
That
mad
was
as
how
guys.
a great scandal threatened to affect
So
the
I get
kingdom
it.
That's
of
what you
Bohemia,
should have done.
It's like
and how the best
it's like
plans
he
of Mr.
teabagged
Sherlock
her
Holmes
and then
were
she
beaten
got
by a woman's wit.
him back,
It's like she teabagged
He used to
him
make
back.
merry over the cleverness of women, but I have not heard him do it
just
of
like
late.
that.
And when he speaks of Irene Adler,
That makes sense.
or when he refers to her photograph,
That's deep.
it is always under the honorable title of the woman.
Whoa.
Thank you.
The woman.
She was the woman.
Do you think he writes it THEE woman or like the italicized?
the? That's what sets her apart. That was great. That was
Oh.
great.
You know
Thank
what?
you.
Yeah, guys. Look, thanks for watching the first of our Let's Read series. We got a bunch more on the way, like Moby Dick. Anyways, if you like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Warp Zone Tweets.
On Instagram at Warp Zone Grams.
Pornhub.com/warpzone. All
Right,
the
yeah.
follow us on all the places, and you know we'll see you next time, guys.
Pew!
Warp Zone out!
Yeah!